Would you be in Would you be interested in a practical way to integrate your belief into your daily routine? You would? Well, we got you. My name is Celeste. I'd like to think I'm a very practical person but still struggle to weave my belief into my daily routine, but not anymore. Starcross Television is BCS flagship station broadcasting from our world headquarters in Calabar, Cross River State of Nigeria. Our YouTube channel offers a variety of content that inspire, enlighten, and empower, and we post every day. So, be practical about what you believe, subscribe, and turn on your notifications to stay connected on the go. Do it now.
Great women of faith have courageously pursued lives to glorify God, even through tragedy and trial. Come, as Brotherhood of the Cross and Star Universal Women Fellowship happily invites the children of God to her 63rd anniversary celebration with the theme Sensitizing the Diamond Daughters towards the building of Olumba Supreme Temple from Monday 21st to Sunday 27th June 2021 at the BCS World Headquarters, 34 Ambo Street, Calabar, Cross River State, Nigeria. Highlights of the event include daily morning prayers, inter-religious conference on raising the moral standard of the girl child, health talk, humanitarian visits, evangelism, competitive march pass, open kitchen, visit to the project site, and global fundraising for the completion of the Holy Mother Elizabeth Redeemed Children Home Project. Special moments with the Supreme Father, grand finale, and the Holy Father's advice and blessings. For more information, please contact the following brethren through the numbers on your screen. Divine Vanguard Elizabeth Ekong, Chairperson Central Planning Committee. Her Eminence Glory Samuel, Secretary Central Planning Committee. Come and be counted among Olumba's Diamond Daughters and be blessed forever. Her Eminence Peace Irafin, President, Universal Women Fellowship Announcer. Thank you, Father.
Thank you for spirit of sonship, not of
Hello, beloved viewer. Thank you so much for staying tuned to the BCS Backcross Television. And today we are coming your way on the program Regnum Legal Viewpoints. Now, this is a program where legal issues are being brought up and are being treated to enlighten you and I about legal and laws of the country. I am Irene Ulaito. Let's take a short break, and when we come back, you get to meet our guests and also get to hear of the interesting topic we have today. Today is going to be very educative, so do not go to anywhere. Stay tuned and get educated. We'll be right back. back, beloved viewer, to the program Regnum Legal Viewpoint. We're super excited to have you here. Remember, on this program, you always get to learn one or two new things. I am Irene Ulaito, and like I said before we went on a short break, that when we come back, you get to hear the topic of discussion today and also get to meet our guests in the studio. Okay, the topic of discussion is the principle of separation of power. We're going to get to know what does this mean? How does this imply in our nation, in our society? What do we need to really know about the principle of separation of power? And here in the studio to do justice to this wonderful topic is none other than Christ's Ambassador, Justice Ahiapo. Peace of the Father, sir.
Peace.
You're welcome to the studio, and thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Okay, let's move on. So when you talk about separation of power, to a layman, what does this mean?
It is a principle of law
Okay.
that is defined by the constitution of the people
Okay.
on how to govern the people
Okay.
for very obvious reasons. The principle of separation of power is aimed at not reposing on a particular set of people in governance absolute power. Now, you can have this separate principle of separation of power in a system of government that runs a 3 tiers of government.
Okay.
3 arms of government, either the legislative, the executive, or the judiciary.
Okay.
Now, amongst these 3 arms of government, there is separation of power.
Okay.
The responsibilities and duties of a particular arm of government is clearly defined and distinct from the other 2.
Okay.
So the essence of this principle of separation of power is to devolve power amongst these 3 arms of government occupied by different persons at different times, functioning and running the system of governance.
Okay, let's get to know about the history, a little historical background of the separation of power. How did it come to be?
The principle of separation of power, in my own view, is as old as human existence.
Oh, wow.
We have it on good record that the ancient Greece, the Roman Republic, and as well American government
Okay.
had practiced this type of governance, the principle of separation of power,
Yeah.
to help the system, to help the society function harmoniously. Now, when you talk about this ancient Greece, the Roman Republic, America, even in Nigeria, in the Oyo Empire, we have this kind of governance being practiced that is applying and adopting the principle of separation of power.
Power. Okay, wow. Wow, interesting. So let's get to here. No, is separation of power synonymous to check and balance?
Yes, that is the essence of applying the principle of separation of power.
Okay.
Now, the executive arm of government is being checked
Okay.
by the legislative arm of government. Likewise, the judiciary checks and balances the situation in the legislative arm of government.
Okay.
In terms of disputes, once an issue is being raised, the executive arm is to formulate policies and implement governance. The legislative arm likewise has a unique role, very distinct from that of the executive. In other words, the legislators are duty bound by law, by constitutional law, to to debate on bills and pass bills into laws with the consent of the president of a country. So theirs is to formulate policies.
Formulate the policies.
Yes.
That's the legislator.
The legislators formulate policies, argue in the floor of the House, pass a vote over the bill, and transmit it to the executive arm, whereby the president will now consent it, and it becomes law and is being implemented. As for the judiciary, that is the third arm of the government. Once these laws are made, it is the duty of the judiciary to interpret the laws. So that is how the principle of separation of powers and as well as check and balances plays out in a particular nation that have this kind of practice.
Okay, interesting. So another question, in Nigeria, do the 1999 constitution avail for complete separation of powers among the three arms of government?
I would rather say no.
No?
Yes, because the constitution is such a complex document.
Okay.
The concepts, the idea behind the principle of separation of power is not absolute as evidenced in the 1999 Nigerian constitution as amended.
Okay.
You can imagine some sections of that 1999 constitution giving powers, empowering the judiciary to formulate rules, like section 46 sub 3 of the 1999 constitution empowers the chief judge to formulate rules for the practice and procedure of cases that has to do with enforcement of fundamental human rights.
Okay.
Now, when you say the judiciary make rules, it's as good as playing the part of the legislators. It's the duty of the legislators to make rules, as well as the executive to also sponsor bills as such. Now, the Constitution has several provisions of the law that makes them look as if they are on their own. Likewise, for the judiciary, likewise, the executive arm of government, section 175 of the 1999 Constitution empowers the president or the governors to apply the prerogative of mercy. Now, what is prerogative of mercy? The president or the governors can wake up on a good day and free a convicted person.
Really?
Yes.
No matter the crime the person
No matter the crime, even when the court had found him guilty.
Wow.
The judiciary, the court has interpreted the law and applied it to the case before it and sentenced the person, even if it's murder case, a capital offense case, like murder. And the accused person or the defendant had been convicted and pronounced death by hanging. The governor of that state, under this section 175 of the 1999 Constitution, has the powers to wake up and say, under the power vested on me, I have to exercise the right or exercise the prerogative of mercy upon this man. And he will set him free. And free indeed. It doesn't, whether you go on appeal, Supreme Court judgment and all of that, the governor can just nullify such judgment.
So in a situation whereby the governor is found wanting and is before the court of law, I believe nobody is above the law. You understand? Everybody is under the law and everybody is supposed to obey the law. So in a situation whereby the governor is taken to court, you understand, and is found wanting, you understand, and is also sentenced, who will bail him? Who will save the governor?
Unfortunately, in Nigeria, the Constitution provides immunity. The Constitution, the 1999 Constitution as amended, gives the governor a leverage to enjoy himself without being prosecuted in any criminal offense committed. It's as good as saying that the governors and the presidents, vice presidents and the deputy governors are immune from any criminal charge
I don't understand.
during the pendency when their tenure is still running.
So if there's an evidence, someone has a video, a clip showing evidence a governor commits murder, you understand, a sin against humanity, can't this governor be charged
While serving
and justice be served
as a governor, he cannot. That is the immunity clause in the 1999 Constitution. You cannot arrest him, you cannot prosecute him. But good enough, upon the expiration of his tenure, once he leaves the government house, he can be arrested and be prosecuted for that same crime that he committed either in his first year of his tenure or as early as his tenure. Time will not run against that prosecution.
Is this only applicable in Nigeria, or other parts of the country is a different thing?
In Nigeria as a whole, is the constitutional provision for the governors,
And
the deputy governors, the president, and the vice president. There is this immunity clause for them. Criminal proceedings cannot be brought against them during their time of service in office.
Okay.
In other jurisdictions, foreign jurisdictions, they have advanced also to an extent whereby you can as well get a governor or the president to answer for a crime committed even while in office. But it's different from our own situation. Our legal system, our legal jurisprudence.
I want to be a governor like this. So interesting.
So that is the law. Section 4, Section 5, and Section 6 of the 1999 Constitution clearly provides for the roles, the duties, the responsibilities of these three arms of government.
Okay.
It clearly provides for it, be it the legislative, the executive, or the judiciary, respectively.
Okay. All right. So let's move on. What does separation of power seek to achieve? What does it seek to achieve?
Essentially is to, as I've earlier said, to devolve power amongst the three tiers of government.
Not to give power to just
one arm of government. Absolute power does not reside on a particular arm of government. Now that is where the concept of checks and balances plays in. Once you do a thing to a large extent, the executive arm of government can call you to order.
Okay.
Like in section 315 of the 1999 Constitution, 315, it empowers the governors and the president, the president or the governors to modify existing laws. To modify existing laws, even with the interpretation given by the judiciary. Section 292 of the same 1999 Constitution as amended also gives power to the president or the governors to remove a judicial officer.
Wow.
So that is it.
Remove a judicial officer.
That is why the 1999 Constitution does not clearly uphold, so to say, the principle of separation of power. Because in one section of the law, you have the executive arm of government performing the duties of the judicial arm of government. On the other side of the 1999 Constitution, you also see the judiciary performing the duties and functions of the legislative arm of government, in contradiction of either section 4 for the legislative arm of the 1999 constitution, or section 5 for the executive arm of government, the 1999 constitution for the executive arm of government, or even section 6 of the 1999 constitution that clearly provides for the functions and duties of the judiciary. So it's a whole lot of complex situation whereby in course of performing your duties, you don't have the absolute powers to even function within the scope of the law.
Interesting. So, beloved viewer, our phone lines are open. If you have any question pertaining to this particular topic or any contribution to this topic, please do call us in and share your opinion or ask your question. There will be a giveaway, so that you would know that you will not just waste your time. There will be a giveaway. If you call us in to give your opinion, you get to win something. If you call us in to answer a question, at the end of this show we'll ask a question. If you call us in or answer the question, you also have something to win. So be part of this wonderful topic. Let's move on. Let's get to the next question. Except for judiciary, both the heads of executive and legislature arms of government in Nigeria are elective, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So why is it that appointments of chief judge of a nation and chief judges of states are made by presidents or governors?
It also boils down on the constitutional provision. Yes.
Okay.
The constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, which is a 1999 constitution as amended, clearly empowers the president or the governors to make such an appointment. It's procedural. The president will recommend to the NJC, who becomes the chief judge of the federation. The governors will also recommend, but before that recommendation gets to the NJC, before it gets to the NJC, the National Assembly, for the chief judge of the federation's appointment, will sit over and even invite the nominee for an interview in the floor of the house. They will engage the nominee in several questions to test the veracity of his knowledge on law and how to manage the judicial arm of government. If it's for the state government, the state governor will have to send the name of his nominee to the NJC, and the NJC will say we okay it. They will send it to the state assembly that will sit over, interview the nominee, and certify him fit and proper for that office to become the chief judge of a particular state. So it has its procedure, and for me personally, that procedure is somehow cumbersome. It has created a lot of misgivings because in Nigeria, you can see the governors abusing that privilege. If they say, they don't want the most senior judge who naturally ought to take over as the sitting chief judge of the state, the governor can say, for this reason, I'm not nominating you. He will go beyond the rules to bring a junior judge to become the chief judge of the state, and it's causing a whole lot of problems. There must be a clear-cut definition. If we are truly practicing separation of power, then the judiciary should determine who heads the judiciary. On a very clear note, if you are there on merit, you earn it. You earn it. Then you can see the governors playing with it politically. Even the president we just engage in one kangaroo arrangement, set up a panel, and dismiss the sitting chief judge just for for very clumsy excuse or reason. So it's not working well, so to say. It's not working well. The framers of the American Constitution, which we take after their model, had done a very good and extensive job in their constitution to clearly define the lines of operations for the three arms or tiers of government. Hardly you can see this friction, but the Nigerian situation, we'll get there one day.
We're moving to the permanent side gradually. Okay, so the giveaway still stands, beloved viewer. Be part of this program. Call us in, share your opinion. I know that we have a lot of lawyers out there. Share your opinion on this particular topic. What do you think about it? And also, if you have a question, ask. You also have something to win, and as well as be part of this very, very wonderful topic. We'll ask your question, and if you get to answer, you have something to go home with. So let's get to another question. Recently, the Judicial Staff Union of Nigeria, JUSUN, J-U-S-U-N, embarked on a strike for over 2 months, crippling the activities of the third arm of government. And few days ago, the nationwide strike action was called off. What was the reason for the strike action?
It also boils down on how well we apply the principle of separation of power. We have it on our constitution that the judicial arm of government is independent. To what extent? And when they don't have the financial autonomy to regulate their budgetary expenditures. Now, that is the reason why the Judicial Staff Union nationwide embarked on that strike. It has its own side effects, but what they are genuinely asking for is the financial autonomy of the judicial arm of government. What does it take the executive arm of government to direct from the direct source give or allocate to the judiciary their own money, the money, the financial expenses for the year? It doesn't take them anything. You cannot give the state governors, the judiciary at the state level, the judicial arm of government, the governors take charge of the payment of salaries. They do this for the staff in the judicial arm of government. To a large extent, the legislative arm enjoys that independence, financial autonomy, because they decide, they regulate their financial transactions. But for the judicial arm of government, it has been a very difficult and uphill task to implement, and that is the more reason why the union went on that strike. Okay, so did the strike action achieve its purpose? I wouldn't say yes, because calling off the strike without something tangible, something practicable, something we can easily feel. I am very sure that the governors forum in Nigeria merely signed an agreement, and the governor amongst them was calling the shot. He said that transaction, he is not binding on it. That the governors forum is not an association, a legal entity that has the right, that are empowered by law to go into any form of contractual agreement. So you can see the extent at which they have even destroyed the original concept of the principle of separation of power. A governor going public and excluding himself, that is not part of such an agreement. I just pray that while they've called off the strike, which ordinarily wouldn't have been the last resort, because they did not hold to that struggle to the end. mere signing an agreement wasn't enough to achieve what they were looking for.
So how will this impact on the masses, the youth, the citizens of this country?
I see it as a passing phase in the history of Nigeria. Sometime the American government who admire so much want to emulate the British government, the European countries, the Asian countries. They've had almost similar experience, if not worse, in their growing years. Development will have to go through this thorny path to a better destination. So in course of growing as a nation, we have to go through this historic phase, and we'll reflect on it, because of course experience is the best teacher. We have to be stronger. We have to develop our own jurisprudence to enable us advance in whatever we are doing as a nation.
Okay, so let us move on. It is common knowledge that judgments of election matters are easily influenced by politicians. Please, I'm sorry. So how best can the independence of the judiciary be guaranteed?
The approach towards settling election matters in Nigeria is highly technical. I might not completely agree with you that the politicians influence it.
Well,
the beauty
we are in the system. We see what goes on, and we see how it all plays out.
You might see it, but when it comes to interpreting the electoral law in court, the onus, the burden of proof, solely lies on whoever is alleging. The proof, the burden is for him to assert that this happened, and in course of doing that in election matters, because of how the Electoral Act is being framed, it is difficult for one who is complaining of injustice, one who is saying that the election was rigged, it was marred with irregularities, to really place before the tribunal all what it takes to establish his case or her case. Now, at that point, the panel sitting as tribunal don't overlook technicalities in that aspect of legal practice. They are so detailed about what the electoral law provides for. If, assuming the electoral law says, if you want to establish the fact that an election was rigged, you provide all the documents, documentary evidence, even with those that will come to testify. And in course of doing that, you will never in any way leave trace of did it happen. And once the opponent can puncture your evidence with the slightest defense, you are out of so that is it. The electoral laws are highly technical, and it requires a lot to win an election matter when you are saying that election was rigged at the tribunal. So the politicians might not even have say as such. The judicial arm of government would definitely carry out their duties to look at the laws and what the petitioner that had come to court is saying.
Yeah, because we saw a situation here in this country where election was conducted and then results came out, you understand, and when it was time for the swearing in, that same day, the election, everything was cut off. So how would you explain this?
The scenario you're painting was a kind of a post-election matter, without prejudice, we will not want to mention names of the parties.
That is
We
why I
just
did not
keep
even
it-
mention the states.
Yes.
Yeah.
We just keep it because I know the case you are referring to. That matter was not an election matter, so to say.
Okay.
It was a post-election
Election matter.
pre-election matter. It came, they initiated the action even before the election. The party that went to court alleged the other party candidate did not meet with the conditions of the electoral panel. They said, provide this for you to be eligible as a candidate for an election. Your academic qualifications, the security clearance, the tax clearance, the papers you have that you claim you attended this, you did that, you've held all of this, all that you have filled in your form, in your election INEC form. They went through it. At that stage, they were challenging the candidacy of the other party.
Okay.
So the case was ongoing at the Federal High Court before the election was held. The case went from the Federal High Court, which was a court of first instance, to the Court of Appeal, the Court of Appeal to the Supreme Court. At that stage, at the Supreme Court level, the election had been conducted.
Already.
The party that won emerged as winner. But the Supreme Court, based on what was before them,
Evidence. Okay.
before them, they had to uphold the judgment of the trial court, whereas the Court of Appeal nullified the judgment of the trial court.
Interesting. Okay. Interesting. So, beloved viewer, I believe you're learning and you're getting to know more. There's still giveaway and no one has won anything yet. If you want to call us in and be part of this wonderful topic, let us get to know your own opinion and as well get to hear any question from you. Let's move on. Before we go on a short break, let's take a question. So, if the judicial financial autonomy is granted, will it be the solution to the high level of corruption evidence in the judiciary?
Generally, the Nigerian situation is in a sorry state. It's not only about the judicial arm of government.
Okay.
Corruption has become a culture in Nigeria, an acceptable norm, so to say. It works negative for us. I wouldn't exclude the judicial arm of government because not just the judges, the magistrates that make up the judicial arm of government. There are the support staff, those that you can find as clerks, court registers, court bailiffs. All of them make up, even the security in the court premises. They are all part of the judicial arm of government. Corruption crept in through the smaller offices. And for one to say and assert that the financial autonomy they are craving for will end corruption, except God comes down. Because it takes a lot to stamp out corruption in judicial arm of government. It takes a lot. Likewise in the legislative and the executive arm of government.
Interesting. Okay, beloved viewer, let's take a short break, and when we come back, we continue with the program. I am Irene Olaito. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Would you be interested in a practical way to integrate your belief into your daily routine? You would? Well, we got you. My name is Celeste. I'd like to think I'm a very practical person but still struggle to weave my belief into my daily routine, but not anymore. Starcross Television is BCS flagship station broadcasting from our world headquarters in Calabar, Cross River State of Nigeria. Our YouTube channel offers a variety of content that inspire, enlighten, and empower, and we post every day. So, be practical about what you believe, subscribe, and turn on your notifications to stay connected on the go. Do it now.
Watch part. History has it that Christianity has existed over 2,000 years, and the existence of God has been even before the world was. Over these number of years, several teachings have been put out concerning God and religion, until there came a time, a certain period, where the supernatural teacher, leader Olumba Obu, and the King of Kings, His Holiness Olumba Obu, brought a unique teaching to correct that which is wrong, unify the world's belief, and put us on the path to God's salvation. Join me, your host, Queen Sam, as we share with you these unique teachings every Wednesday, 7 p.m. West African time, only on the BCS Foreigner.
Tune in for your regular news updates with me, Aja Charles, here on Starcross Television.
My name is Christ Ambassador Amma McLean Williams. By Father's grace, I am the General Manager of the Everlasting Gospel Center, and it's a beautiful thing to have the Starcross team here so we can talk more and enlighten our audience concerning the everlasting gospel.
Watch out for BCS Showcase coming to you soon on Starcross Television. Great women of faith have courageously pursued lives to glorify God, even through tragedy and trial. Come as Brotherhood of the Cross and Star Universal Women Fellowship happily invites the children of God to her 63rd anniversary celebration with the theme Sensitizing the Diamond Daughters towards the building of Olumba Supreme Temple from Monday 21st to Sunday 27th June 2021 at the BCS World Headquarters, 34 Ambo Street, Calabar, Cross River State, Nigeria. Highlights of the event include daily morning prayers, inter-religious conference on raising the moral standard of the girl child, health talk, humanitarian visits, evangelism, competitive march pass, open kitchen, visit to the project site, and global fundraising for the completion of the Holy Mother Elizabeth Redeemed Children Home Project. Special moments with the Supreme Father, grand finale, and the Holy Father's advice and blessings. For more information, please contact the following brethren through the numbers on your screen. Divine Vanguard Elizabeth Ekong, Chairperson Central Planning Committee. Her Eminence Glory Samuel, Secretary Central Planning Committee. Come and be counted among Olumba's Diamond Daughters and be blessed forever. Her Eminence Peace Irafin, President, Universal Women Fellowship, Announcer. Thank you, Father.
Thank you for spirit of sonship, not of slavery.
BCS Music.
The living Christ is back on earth. He promised that where he would be, all his elects would be there too.
Call him up, he will answer you. His holiness, King Olumba Obu.
Out of Africa, come and the living Christ, the Redeemer of the human race. His holiness, King Olumba Obu.
Call him up, he will answer you. His holiness, King Olumba Obu.
Don't look up there in the firmament. He dwelleth here in brotherhood. Just call him up, he will answer you.
Call Call him up, he will answer you. His Holiness, King Onimbaobu.
Go tell the world that the Holy Spirit has been personified in Olumbabu. He reigned here with the living Christ. His Holiness, King Olumbaobu.
Call him up, he will answer you. His Holiness, King Onimbaobu.
Out of Africa cometh the living Christ, the Redeemer of the human race. His Holiness, King Olumbaobu.
Call him up, he will answer you. His Holiness, King Onimbaobu.
Let's go crazy with happiness and jubilation in brotherhood, 'cause the living Christ is back on earth.
Call him up, he will answer you. His Holiness, King Onimbaobu.
It doesn't matter where you call him from, King Olumbaobu is omnipresent. You don't need no candles for meditation. You don't need no incense to communicate. Don't need no beads, no charms or jams. When you call on him in spirit and truth, his holiness will answer you.
Call him up, he will answer you. His Holiness, King Onimbaobu.
Don't look up there in the firmament. He dwelleth here in brotherhood. Just call him up, he will answer you.
Call him up, he will answer you. His Holiness, King Onimbaobu.
Go tell the world that the Holy Spirit has been personified in Olumbabu. He reigned here with the living Christ. His Holiness, King Olumbaobu.
Call him up, he will answer you. His Holiness, King Onimbaobu.
Thank you so much for staying tuned to the BCS Starcross Television and staying tuned to the program Regnum Legal Viewpoints. Remember, the topic of discussion today is the principle of separation of power. And so far, we've been talking a lot. Our guests here in the studio have been able to enlighten us on what separation of power is all about and how it is being implemented. So we want to move on to the next question, not forgetting that we have a giveaway. If you understand this topic, if you have any opinion or something to add to it, if you call us in to share your opinion, we will give you something to go back with, so to not miss out. Let's go ahead, sir. Christ Ambassador Ayakwa, a few years ago, the executive arm of government in Nigeria removed a chief judge of the federation based on corrupt allegations. So I want you to tell me here and tell us here, did the executive arm act between the purview of the 1999 constitution?
To start with, section 292 292
okay.
of the 1999 Constitution as amended simply provides or empowers the president or the governors to initiate proceedings to remove a judicial officer alongside with either the Senate or the House of Assembly for the state governors.
Okay.
The the scenario you just painted out, the case reference you may refer to, did not go through that process.
Okay.
The president, under the watchful eyes, the EFCC under the watchful eyes, the ICPC,
Okay.
under the watchful eyes of the presidency, alleged that the chief judge of the federation was involved in corrupt practices, unlawfully enriching himself. They carried out investigation. They brought him before an inferior court.
Wow.
An inferior court. That process was ongoing. The chief judge was not given the opportunity to be heard by his own constituency. In an ideal society where this separation of power is practiced, the chief judge belongs to the judicial arm of government, which to a large extent is an independent arm of government. When you talk about discipline, the judicial officer or the CJN ought to step down as the chairman of the NJC for him to be tried.
Okay.
If the NJC come up with their decision, they will now pass it to the law enforcement agency in Nigeria or agencies. They would have said our chief judge of the federation is being indicted for corruption. And they hand him over to either the ICPC or the EFCC upon their investigation and findings.
Okay.
It's like in the military, as we discussed last week concerning the court martial. You cannot just prosecute a military personnel without going through their disciplinary procedure, their process.
Yeah.
You must allow them to carry out their investigation, to indict him in whatever way, and come up with their report.
And even the army person, the soldier, or the personnel involved will be heard, will be allowed to, defend himself.
Yes.
Yeah.
Then whatever is the outcome, if it's indicting, if it convicts the chief judge, if he is found wanting,
okay,
then you can now hand him over to. That is how the spirit and intent of this principle of separation of power works.
So would you agree with me that Nigeria is not solely practicing this? When you say the practicing the separation of power, you understand it's not really what it is.
That is part of the reason why this clamor for the constitutional amendment, the restructuring of the nation. Once we get it right from our constitution, the constitution that is the ground norm will begin to regulate our activities as human beings and also project our corporate image as a nation. The constitution, the cry for amendment is overbearing, is overdue, and there is need for a constitutional amendment.
Okay, so would you liken this to what happened recently at, is it Ondo State or where?
Yes, in Ondo State, the governor set up a panel to indict the sitting chief judge of the state.
Okay.
And it is based on allegation of corruption.
Okay.
The chief judge approached the Federal High Court, challenging the action of the governor constituting a panel against the chief judge of the state. And the Federal High Court in Ondo State heard that the governor has no right to constitute such a panel.
Okay.
That is the spirit of separation of power. If the chief judge of Ondo State is allegedly involved in any corrupt practices, you raise a petition to the NJC. He's under the duty and law to answer for that petition before the NJC.
Okay.
That is it. Once at that level, the chief judge is found wanting and the report indicts the chief judge. The governor will simply act on that report.
Okay.
Either to prosecute the chief judge and as well remove the chief judge. But that procedure was not upheld. What the governor did was to usurp power. He did not use the provision, the constitutional provision of section 292 to go along with the State House of Assembly to investigate and come up with a decision to remove the chief judge. So that is why the court says no, you can't do that. It's unconstitutional.
Okay.
It's also under this principle of separation of power.
Okay, let us move on. Thank you so much for answering that question. So I want to know, is it constitutional for the National Assembly to carry out the amendment of the 1999 Constitution of Nigeria?
That is a very good question. Everybody that has an interest in the country called Nigeria has seen that the 1999 Constitution is not the Constitution made by the people.
Okay.
It's not the Constitution that accommodates virtually the basic interests of the entire people. Now, the clamor for amendment of Constitution and having it solely rest on the National Assembly, both the House of Representatives and the Senate, to go out and conduct probably interviews, sittings, and listening in a bid to amend the Constitution has not fell short or has not met the requirement for constitutional amendment. It must be the people's interest. It must be the entire population participating in it. It is not for just a few elective officers to carry out the amendment of the Nigerian Constitution. There must be a referendum. There must be a collection of opinions of different tribes, of different groups, of different interests, and even of religious belief to put it together and come up with an amended constitution. The process had not met a good condition for the amendment of the 1999 Constitution.
Okay, so if we see that this constitution is not favorable, it's not, it's not good for the citizens, why are we still keeping to it? Why don't we work towards, amending the constitution and see to it that it favors and gives justice to its citizens?
President Goodluck Jonathan, while he was the president of this country, organized a national conference. The outcome of that national conference is yet unknown to the people.
Wow.
The results, the reports is yet to be made public. The federal government spent so much money. They invested in organizing that national conference. And we are saying that let us see the report of that national conference.
Okay.
Then from there, probably the Senate will have, or the House of Reps will have a blueprint, a roadmap clearly defined for the way forward. But we are not seeing all of this. It's just recycling, and it's not helping us, because it is the duty of the executive arm of government to fashion out a very favorable policy for everybody's interest to be protected and projected in cause of coming up with a document called Constitution. But unfortunately, I think it's a spiritual thing, because
spiritual thing?
Yes. There's so much of lack of love.
Okay.
I and nobody. It's all what we could get as individuals, as group of individuals, as regions, and it is causing a whole lot of pandemic, a whole lot of crisis. The country is in total disarray. Nobody wants to accommodate the other, and it's not helping us to move forward as a nation.
Wow, interesting. So, would you say that if the constitution is amended, would it be, would it, give the solution? Would it be the panacea to achieving good governance?
It will also not be. For a country like Nigeria, where we adopt the written type of constitution, the constitution cannot cover every interest that we as a people represent. It will be too voluminous to chronicle every agitation, every interest, and the representation of every region. The constitution must be concise and precise for us to make easy reference to. So it is not adequate enough. It is not adequate enough. It's just that we need to amend certain basic interests in the existing constitution for us to accommodate each other, for us to have a consensus on moving the nation forward, but it's not adequate enough.
It's not adequate enough. So presently in the society in Nigeria, we hear of, headsmen slaughtering people, Boko Haram. I mean, how can this constitution, how can the legislative, the executive, the judiciary arm of government protect its citizens? Because lives are being lost. We hear of unknown gunmen, we hear of a whole lot of killings here and there, we hear of a whole lot of bombing here and there. How can they secure? How can I as a citizen of this country, be proud to say, okay, I'm from this country and this country protects me? How can this be, looked into?
I will still maintain that it's a pitiable state we find ourselves. The constitution has it that security is under the exclusive legislative list. What do I mean by that? Exclusive legislative list is for the federal government to formulate policy on security. When the president of this country referred security matters to the governors, I begin to wonder. I begin to ask myself, do they have the capacity? Do they have control over the police? Do they have the governors? Are the governors in charge of the police, the armed forces, that their primary duty is to secure lives and properties? Who appoints the Inspector General of Police? Is it not the president? Who appoints the Chief of Army Staff, the Chief of Naval Staff, the Chief of Air Staff? All put together, their duty is just one: to protect life and property. It is not the governors. Now, if this clamor for amendment of constitution is given a serious thought, it will accommodate and relax so much power at the center. The state governors are clamoring for community policing. They are saying, can't we also secure our territories?
But do you think that will go a long way
to a large extent? Even when our own situation as Nigerians is peculiar, our situation is so peculiar. If you give the governors this power now, take charge to a certain extent, security. During election year, they will turn that machinery to work in their favor.
Okay, I see.
That is the problem.
I see.
Get the vigilante group working. Get the community policing working. That same security outfit that the governors had established for security purpose will be used, because they will be armed. They will be used during election days. So these are the areas that ought to be considered. Because once you have control over security, of course the power lies on you to do and undo, to sit and unsit. That is the problem.
So how does other states, other countries, how are they able to, keep protect life and properties, the security of the citizens are intact? How are they, what measures, what policies did they put in place to be able to achieve this, that we in Nigeria cannot?
It's not an absolute guarantee for these nations.
At least in 100%, at least you have at least, maybe it's just a minor, maybe 20 or 30% of insecurity. So how were they able to achieve that? And what policy do you think, if being put in place, would aid or go a long way in Nigeria to keep in life and property, to secure life and property?
The security, to be very frank with you, is a very expensive venture.
Nigeria
Now,
is rich.
even when you have a good security architecture, and you don't have qualified manpower to manage it, it becomes a problem. It becomes a problem. How can we have Boko Haram creating a war situation where there is no war and killing a lot of people? How can we have bandits, herdsmen, taking other people's lives at will? There is something wrong, and I don't want to sound religious, but our moral standard had been debased to the extent that we act like animals.
Wow. Okay.
So if the government of the day is ready to arrest this ugly situation, they must be prepared to invest so much in the mercenary, in the policy that will be churned out for security reasons, and also for manpower training. There must be capacity of the security personnel, and which we are not having. How can I imagine the chief of army staff boarding an aircraft in less than 20 or 10 minutes flight? The plane got crashed, and up to date we are yet to know the outcome, the aftermath. What was the cause?
The cause of that.
There was no, up to now, I say it without being contradicted, there is no report as to the investigation of what led to the crashing of that plane. It's just so unbearable. Now, when you begin to learn from other nations that have gotten it right, from your question, we must do the right thing. We must get the right equipment. We must get the right personnel to manage the offices or headship of this security apparatus, which we are yet to come in terms with. If you engage in nepotism, if you engage in separation, segregation, discrimination, oh, this is mine and I am not yours, the country will not move forward. Let the right person, the most qualified, the most experienced, the most knowledgeable, occupy offices that has to do with security matters. Then we'll get it right.
Okay, we are gradually coming to the end of this program, but I have a last question for you, and maybe a question will follow up from this question. I want to know, does religious beliefs influence the implementation of separation of powers?
It does when you have a country like Nigeria with diverse religious beliefs.
I think Nigeria were mostly dominated with Christianity and Muslim.
Well, there are other
Traditional?
yes,
Okay.
there are others that they practice and they hold tenaciously to their own belief. Once you begin to see your brother that is a Christian, he wants his successor to be a Christian.
Okay.
A Muslim will want a Muslim to succeed him or her. And the trend continues. And this influences the principle of separation of power. If I'm not of the same faith with you, and I heard a particular arm of government, I might not have that very cordial relationship. It also affects our country. We are so religious that we easily forget that there is need to separate state from religion. That is another topic. Yes, another topic for another day.
Can you throw more light on that?
You don't bring in your religious practices in day-to-day governance, running of government affairs.
But religious practices, I believe it helps one to behave well, practice what is good. If you talk about religious practices, is it not that of the Bible? What the Bible teaches us to do: love one another, do not bear false witness, be your brother's keeper. So if that is brought into the governance, would that go a long way to
As you said, it helps to build the individual.
Okay.
It does not influence the policies, the laws of the state. The laws are there. The laws accommodate every individual, regardless of tribe, creed, or religion. If I'm not a Christian and you are the head of my section, my department, the organization itself, the arm of government, we all work for the state. There is no way, if you bring in your religious beliefs and dogma, that it will not affect me negatively, because I don't share the same faith with you.
Okay.
So that is why that doctrine of separation of state and religion is on the one side to regulate these excesses, to discourage nepotism when it comes to carrying on the day-to-day affairs of a nation in terms of governance. So many people had forced their religious beliefs on others.
Okay.
And it's working injustice. I don't need to force you to believe what I don't. You don't believe what I believe, and you don't believe. If you bring it into government, there is a whole lot of things that will go wrong. Sometimes the Muslims in Nigeria were agitating in the western part of the country, and even up to the law school, that their attire as Muslims must be permitted for them to wear in schools.
Okay.
And a law school student insisted that she has the right to dress that way, cover from head to toe and all of that.
Even the
yes,
face and just leave the eyes.
The eyes.
Okay.
It caused some
reaction.
Yes, that time, and whether she went to court or so, she was almost deprived of being called to bar. That was the story. Now they are saying that keep your religion.
Okay.
When it comes to government, when it comes to secularity, when it comes to how you relate with others, you don't bring in what you believe. You should influence
so
you.
Impose it on
another person.
Yeah.
That is it. If I come out in the morning, I'm the president of this country, as from my Christian background, I said you should read the Lord's Prayers you should recite the Lord's Prayers, you should conduct morning prayers in all ministries, in all government agencies, in all schools, and all of that. You have the Muslims, you have the Hindus, you have all of that. Would they be subjected to reciting that Lord's Prayer? So that is where the separation of religion and the state comes in. In America, I had the opportunity of going on evangelism, and we met a mayor. We met with him, and I did frankly understood this doctrine of separation of religion and state. But because I have a deeper conviction that there is something lacking in that county, whereby the mayor can sponsor a bill based on the Holy Father's teachings as contained in the everlasting gospel. I said, Lord Mayor, can you go through this Father's everlasting gospel? You find insights, spiritual teachings that can come up as policy or policies to regulate your people under your watch. And he simply looked at me and smiled that will work against the doctrine of separation of religion and the state. So these are areas where government needs to balance and give everybody a leveling ground for them to express their religious belief, their freedom of worship, the right of association and assembly, and all of that as enshrined in the fundamental human rights. So that is the position, and we are going to have it real bad if we bring in so much of religion in our Nigerian day-to-day governance.
Of course, I think religion is really one of the key problems that we have here in Nigeria. Some set of people want these people, if you are not in this particular religion, you cannot have this job, or if you're not connected to this person, you cannot have this job, and it's really bringing us down. It's really bringing the system down. So I think I stand with you on this particular output, what you've really said. So basically that is all we have for our viewer today. Thank you so much. We are running out of time. We're getting signal that we should close the program, but I'm enjoying it today. I know that you have learned a lot today on the topic, the separation, the principle of separation of powers, and we get to know that the Nigerian Constitution needs to be amended. The 1999 Constitution needs to be amended for the betterment of citizens. I am Irene Ulaito. Thank you so much for watching this program, for your input. I only have few comments on YouTube by Sister Gladys Oyebo. Says, nice to be here today. Kudos to Starcross TV, the best religious TV station worldwide. Thank you. Says, wonderful topic, nice to have you here today. Christ Ambassador Barrister Justice Ahiakwo. Special greetings to our unique presenter, Sister Irene Ulaito. Thank you so much for your time and for participating in this wonderful topic. See you again same time next week on the BCS Starcross Television. Thank you. I remain Irene Ulaito, and thank you so much for coming to talk to us, Christ Ambassador Justice Ahiakwo. Father bless you.
It's my pleasure.
Do have a wonderful weekend ahead. Bye-bye.